Greetings and welcome to Miles More Motivation, the show that's designed to give you more happiness, fulfillment, and obviously a little bit of motivation. In this episode, we're going to talk about the lockdown must-dos for entrepreneurs. Those of you that are watching this live, obviously we're right now in this kind of second lockdown, and for me this is going to be a very different time in terms of compared to when I went into the first lockdown. My income went completely to zero, massive uncertainty. We had Sage, who was at the time just coming up to 6 months old. Sati, my beautiful wife, was coming to the end of her maternity, so our kind of income pot was going down, savings were inevitably going to go down. And it was a time of immense worry. In actual fact, it turned out to be a blessing. It saw me kind of launch a new business that I potentially wouldn't have launched had it not been for lockdown. And there's some key things that when I look back on reflection, I went, what were like the key things that I did during the lockdown that if I were to advise someone now in the new lockdown, are things that I think are fundamentals that an entrepreneur, especially entrepreneurs, kind of must do to make sure that they thrive in this next phase of the year. And so the things I'm going to share with you are really common sense. I always say, it's common sense to eat more green vegetables than it is to eat cake. I could make some cake. But it's not common practice, right? So it's so important to know that you may have heard these things before, you may know this to be true, but knowledge is only power if it's applied. So that's what's really essential. So when I share these things with you and you're like, yeah, I already know that, the question is, are you doing it, right? Because I was not doing all of these things consistently at the start of the first lockdown. So the first one is, for those of you that are not like fitness enthusiasts, this one's going to annoy you, right? Because there's no podcast, audiobook, or YouTube motivational video that's going to get you out of this one. It's what I call state creation. Tony Robbins says emotion is created by motion. What that means is you've got to be scheduling time throughout the day to change your state. The facts are this COVID period has been stressful. Stress generates an increase in cortisol, which is the stress hormone in the body, which causes all kinds of emotions like worry, fear, anxiety, overwhelm, self-sabotage, and any of the negative things that you can think of when it comes to kind of being an entrepreneur. And so what's really important is that you don't just maybe have a workout in the morning. If those of you going, yeah, I'm good with that, I'll work out in the morning. No, what I realized at the start of lockdown is I was really good at working out in the morning, but then I wasn't so good at creating my state at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 6:30 in the evening, right? Or 7 o'clock at night, when in our house we go completely offline and me and Mrs. Grant would say just gone to bed, if she goes to bed on time, fingers crossed tonight, have quality time with each other. And one of the things I noticed at the start of lockdown is I was getting to the end of the day, 7 o'clock, and I was totally spent. My state was poor. I was probably feeling the stress, and I just kind of dumped it out on Sati. So Sati's had like literally no time with me whatsoever all day because I've been working to grow a business. And then she's got my leftovers at the end of the day, which were effectively like scraps. So it's so important. One of the things I now do pretty much every hour on the hour, it's either out for a walk for 15 minutes or it's some meditative breathing for 5 minutes, or it's 50 jumping jacks in the kitchen. It doesn't have to be long, but I'll spend at least 2 or 3 minutes changing my state every single hour to make sure that I'm in the best mental performance throughout the whole day. So it's so important. That was a real lesson for me in the first lockdown. Second, really important, accountability. Again, probably for most entrepreneurs, this is basic, but you need accountability. What does accountability mean? Well, it doesn't mean texting your mate to say, I'm going to go for that run today, right? Because the problem is friends will let you off the hook. So one of the things I did is I actually spent money on getting accountability, like actually paid to be part of a program that gave me 7 day a week. If I wanted 7 day a week, it can be 5, 6, whatever. But the point is I paid for 7 day a week accountability so that I knew someone had got my back to make sure that I did exactly what I said I was going to do every single day. Like my key priorities for the day, like recording videos or sales calls or whatever, that I knew if I wasn't in a great mood, I could easily just kind of go, I'll do it tomorrow. But with the combination of state creation, accountability for me is like an insurance policy to make sure you do the things you want to do. So I wish I'd got paid accountability sooner, because it makes a massive difference. And by the way, if you need paid accountability, send me a message. Something that I do offer for our clients, something we can have a chat about. And then the last thing is, and this is not in any way a plug to work with me, but it's something that I recognized right at the start of lockdown. I was like, oh wow, I don't have one of these at the moment. I did have, but it expired sort of about January, and I've not renewed it, and it's get a coach. If you're an entrepreneur without a coach, I'm telling you, your progress is probably going to be a lot slower than you'd like. I always say that growing a business, succeeding as an entrepreneur, a bit like learning to drive, often what we try and do is try and figure it out for ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that, but ultimately it's the ego trying to keep you safe and proud that, well done, you figured it out for yourself. I'm saying, rather than go the long way around, like trying to teach yourself how to drive, get an instructor, aka a coach, who can show you the map ahead, who can give you the guidance because they've walked that path already. Really, really simple. But I recognized as soon as I reinvested in a coach, I just paid up front for the year, got myself in a new coaching program, and that accelerated. Last month was best month of the year, and I don't tell you that to brag. I tell you that because I go, it's because I got a coach. Like that accountability, the state creation with the coach made a massive difference as I progressed through that first lockdown. So 3 things: state creation, make sure you're putting yourself in a regular peak state every hour, get accountability, pay for it if you need it, recommend paying for it just because you're more likely to apply whatever you pay for because you've got skin in the game, and then get a coach. Like physically pay for a coach because you're way more likely to accelerate faster than just trying to kind of scratch around and figure it out for yourself, which is ultimately just an ego thing, which I too used to have myself. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, like it, comment, share, whatever you like to do. If you want to send me a direct message because you've got some thoughts about this, or you want to maybe have a chat about my coaching programs and how I can maybe help you, then go ahead and do that. Miles of Motivation, over and out. See you next time.